following is a rebroadcast of News Channel 4 at 11.
A police helicopter searches the Harlem River for any sign of a child who disappeared in the water tonight. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jim Watkins. Chuck is off this week. A dip in the river to cool off may have turned deadly.
Police say they were alerted by the missing teenager's friends. That started dive teams frantically searching the Harlem River to find any signs of the 15-year-old boy. Right now, Andrew Glassman is at the police command post near the Madison Avenue Bridge. Andrew?
That's right, Sue. For the past 3 hours, police dive teams have been searching the circling waters of the Harlem River. Beneath me here on the Madison Avenue Bridge, at this point, the 15-year-old boy is feared, if not presumed at this point, to be drowned in the river. Earlier tonight, according to police, the boy and two friends were on their bicycles and rode down this walkway with designs on playing by the river on this hot night. Police helicopters threw light on the water from their positions, hovering and slowly circling above. Dive teams worked the area from below the surface of the Harlem River. One member of the dive team told me this area of the river can generate strong conflicting currents, currents strong enough to carry a boy away swiftly or hold him under, but that tonight the currents were moderate. That gave the search team some reason for optimism in the early going. The missing boy was playing here with two other boys. They stood by and answered questions while the police teams carried out their work. Their bicycles were seen laying down on this concrete walkway, the place where they'd been riding. The bikes were later taken away by police. One bystander, a father of four, said this area is under construction and is routinely left open, a dangerous invitation for kids to come down and ride and play.
When these guys finish their construction here on this bridge, whether they stop at 3, 4, 5 o'clock, have a fence up here. Those barricades that you put up, it can be like the police line, do not cross. Needs to have a fence, barbed wire, closed off. That way, if that's there, you can't cross that.
According to police, the missing boy jumped in the river to cool off. When he didn't come back up to the surface, a second boy jumped in and tried to save him or look for him, but that second boy couldn't find his friend. He did make it out of the water, and with the third boy, he went to call out for help.
When one of the kids didn't come back up, they got nervous, 15-year-old supposedly this is, and the other two kids went and got help.
Again, still no sign of that 15-year-old boy, although police tell us they are going to continue this search all night long if that's what it takes. At this point, they've shifted their emphasis a bit to the north. That's the direction the current is flowing right now. Andrew Glassman, News Channel 4, reporting live tonight on the Madison Avenue Bridge.
All right, thank you, Andrew. In the waters off Long Island, salvage crews recovered more debris from TWA Flight 800 today. The latest wreckage was brought ashore tonight. Now, a key part of the investigation is finding out what was on the plane besides the people and where it was placed. Right now, John Miller is in Hampton Bays with inside information you'll hear only on News Channel 4. John?
Well, you saw the wreckage. That wreckage was trucked from here to Calverton, where the experts are standing by. That is where the search for the needle in the haystack goes. But they haven't found that needle yet, not the physical piece of evidence that they hope will tell them, was this a bomb, was it a missile, or a massive mechanical failure? But what they cannot find from the physical evidence, they are attempting to glean from the records. Investigators expect no fast answers from the clues hidden in the cockpit. The sheer destruction it went through tells investigators whatever force brought down this jet seemed to wield huge power near the jumbo jet's nose.
This is like a big ball of string that, you see it from the outside and you have to unravel it to actually see what's there. It's the most compressed mumble jumble of stuff that I've ever seen.
One area agents continue to focus on is cargo. News Channel 4 has obtained the cargo manifest being examined by the FBI. Here is what they show. The front cargo hold, just under the cockpit, is an area of special interest. There was no freight up there. It had just 4 metal containers with baggage all going to Charles de Gaulle Airport. The rest of the front cargo hold was empty. If a bomb functioned in the cargo hold, in all likelihood, it would have been in a suitcase. Because baggage is carefully matched to passengers on international flights, on the theory that one bag in the front cargo hold may have contained a bomb, investigators are considering some options. Number 1, a suicide bomber, or 2, an unwitting passenger who was given a package containing a bomb to carry for an acquaintance. The aft cargo hold has more possibilities, but it is located further from the worst damage. There is air freight from several carriers. This is rarely X-rayed. There were diplomatic pouches from the State Department. These are not X-rayed. Behind the rear cargo door, there was a shipment of transfer bags going to Milan, 8 milliliters of HIV blood serum, aircraft parts needed by TWA in Paris, and a case of live turtles. But because the heaviest damage was at the front of the jet, the focus is on the front 4 containers and the passengers who might have carried the luggage in them. One container, designated AKN 7415, containing bags bound for Dole, was pulled from the ocean days ago. It was damaged, as you can see here, but not fragmented beyond recognition the way most of the cockpit directly above it was, which may be an indication. If it was a bomb, it may have been directly behind the cockpit in the jet's cabin. Now, there was a piece of cargo that was in the actual cockpit. That was a styrofoam container containing corneas being shipped to Paris for transplant. Now, investigators have looked into that very closely, but they say, backtracking from their investigation, they have found that it was transferred hand to hand from the medical people to the airline people, and they say, going back over those transfers, they don't see any real opportunity for anyone to have substituted that styrofoam container with one containing a bomb. But of course, as Jim Kallstrom says, they're not ruling anything out until they know exactly what they're dealing with. Reporting live from the Coast Guard station at Shinnecock Inlet, John Miller, News Channel 4. Jim?
I'll take it, John. Thank you. Also today, divers found one more body in the water, leaving 35 victims still missing, and another chunk of twisted fuselage was brought ashore. Family members of some of the victims of Pan Am Flight 103, downed by a terrorist bomb in 1988 over Lockerbie, Scotland, surrounded the president today as he signed new anti-terrorism measures into law. The new law would order sanctions against foreign companies that invest in Iran or Libya. President Clinton called Iran and Libya two of the most dangerous supporters of terrorism in the world.
Back here, Mayor Giuliani says another threat to airport security is the increase in crime at airports. So the mayor said today he wants the city police to replace the Port Authority officers at both Kennedy and LaGuardia. NYPD statistics show more than 800 thefts so far this year at Kennedy, mostly luggage ripoffs. There were 49 cargo thefts, but the Port Authority claims crime has actually fallen at the airports.
A shopping mall shootout late today left the gunman and a bystander dead and 2 others wounded. The gunfight broke out at the Deptford Mall in Deptford, New Jersey. That's in southwestern New Jersey. The FBI says a guard was on his way into a bank inside the mall when he came across the gunman. They exchanged shots, and the would-be robber and a bystander were killed. The wounded guard crawled into the bank where someone called the police. A 15-year-old girl was also wounded in the shooting. A bag of money was found near the gunman.
Well, police are looking for a second gunman in the robbery of Nobu, the trendy Tribeca restaurant owned in part by actor Robert De Niro. The 2 gunmen shot up the restaurant just after closing last night, giving 3 employees minor wounds. The 2 escaped with the night's receipts, but police caught one of the suspects just blocks away and also found a gun. A rape suspect on Long Island maintains he is innocent.
I didn't do it, man. It was consensual. I didn't do it. We didn't hear you say it. I didn't do it.
29-year-old Raymond Hengeveld is charged with grabbing a 14-year-old at random from a Levittown street corner. Police say the victim gave them detailed information about Hengeveld's truck during the attack 3 weeks ago.
A freak accident in Midtown with bricks falling 25 stories, hitting the head of a workman and killing him. The location, Broadway and 36th Street. 27-year-old Pedro Oblitas died, and 2 other people near him were hurt. Oblitas was part of a team of window washers who had rigged scaffolding on the building, using the bricks for support. Well, tonight the Buildings Department tells News Channel 4 the rigging was improper and the window washing company did not have a permit.
Well, cheers turned to gasps of horror at a Pittsburgh air show today. Just seconds after takeoff, a stunt pilot lost control of his plane. And while thousands of spectators watched helplessly, the plane crashed into the Ohio River. Rescue boats rushed to the scene, but they could not find the pilot. He is presumed dead. In Australia, 3 policemen are being saluted as heroes. They jumped into a creek to rescue a 10-year-old boy who was swept away by floodwaters. They tried intercepting the youngster at various points along the creek. Finally, after nearly an hour, they were able to pull him to safety with a rope. The little boy was not seriously hurt.
The jury in the above entitled action do determine that the penalty shall be death.
A jury in San Jose, California has decided Richard Davis should be executed for the murder of Polly Klaas. He kidnapped the 12-year-old from a slumber party in her bedroom in the autumn of 1993, and the search for her caught the attention of the nation. The judge has the authority to change the death sentence to life without parole. The final sentencing is set for next month. We'll be back with more news in 60 seconds. Bob Dole says his proposed tax cut will have a huge impact on the middle class, slicing their federal income taxes in half. The Republican presidential candidate outlined a bold plan that will be the centerpiece of his campaign. Dole promised to finish the job that Ronald Reagan started.
I believe that every family, wage earner and small business in America can do better if only we have the right policies in Washington, D.C. and coming from Washington, D.C.
Dole's plan would provide a 15% income tax cut for everyone across the board. It would also cut the capital gains tax 50%, and it would give families a $500 tax break for each child. All told, Americans would pay about $550 billion less in taxes over 6 years.
I think it's the best idea Bob Dole has had all year. This is going to turn the campaign around. This is what won the election for Governor Whitman in New Jersey in 1993, and this is what has made her a great governor.
I love a tax cut, but this is stupid, it's silly, it's a campaign political gimmick.
And the White House says Dole's proposal would cause the deficit to skyrocket. Dole responded, saying a Republican president and Republican Congress would control spending enough to balance the budget by 2002.
And now a story you'll see only on News Channel 4. New York City Police Detective Stephen McDonald will speak at the Republican National Convention in San Diego next week. McDonald is the officer paralyzed in a shooting 10 years ago. News Channel 4's T.W.A. Chang spoke with him tonight about the message he will deliver.
I hope to represent New York City, the people that I'm sworn to protect and serve, the best way that I can, and my family.
His speech is regulated by puffs of air from a ventilator attached to his throat, a ventilator which keeps him alive. But New York City Detective Stephen McDonald, paralyzed from the neck down a decade ago by a bullet from a 15-year-old Robert, will still go to San Diego a week from Wednesday to give a primetime speech to the Republican National Convention and to the nation.
Well, I'd like to give a message of hope. My opinion, our country has been under attack.
McDonald was asked by the chairman of the Republican National Committee, Haley Barbour, after Barbour heard him speak about civil rights for Northern Ireland. McDonald, a registered Democrat, plans to give a pro-life speech, anti-abortion and anti-euthanasia, but also against guns.
One of the things I've admired about you the most is that you try to help the young man that shot you and paralyzed you. Do you plan to touch upon that in your speech in San Diego at all?
What's occurred in my life has shaped my values, my opinions, so that would be something that I would touch upon. Well, tired.
Above all, McDonald says he will talk about how his faith in God sustained him and his family through their continuing ordeal, even if they are a family of Democrats not yet committed to Dole.
To be able to get that chance, as you just said, to speak to the nation is a great opportunity.
Stephen McDonald fits the Republican Party image of patriotic American, but with his anti-gun positions, he will still be unique and not easily categorized as a Republican. In Malvern, T.W.A. Chang, News Channel 4.
Officer McDonald says he forgave his attacker and even spoke to him once when the man called to apologize. Well, just back from the Olympics, Len Berman has sports coming up.
And could it really be true? Chocolate, not so bad for you after all?
But first, Janice, getting ready with the sticky forecast.
That's right. We're going to make it to 90 degrees for the first time since May. Coming up this week, I'll let you know which day coming up. First, tonight's lottery numbers.
You may be one of them, one of the people suffering from a love of, if not actual addiction to, chocolate. Well, the good news, the supposedly sinful treat may actually have healthy benefits. News Channel 4's Joe Avilar reports.
Woody Allen's view of the future looking back on us.
You mean there was no deep fat? No steak or cream pies or hot fudge?
Those were thought to be unhealthy. Precisely the opposite of what we now know to be true.
Now guess what? Scientists have found chocolate. That luscious, silky, sinful concoction contains good things.
I thought chocolate was empty calories, but it's really not. It does have some nutrient value to it.
Recent analyses show chocolate contains calcium, fiber, iron, vitamins, and minerals, all things you need in your regular diet.
If you're going to supplement your diet with the nutritional qualities of chocolate, some say, don't let any chocolate do it. Have a handmade chocolate like this one.
It comes from Martine's in Bloomingdale's, where they make chocolate delectables right before your eyes. The owner reflects on the 19th century when chocolate was more than a food.
They thought it was good for their health, and also it was considered as an aphrodisiac.
Look at this. Not everyone who indulges is heavy.
I exercise.
So you work this off?
I have to work it off.
No one's made low-calorie quality chocolate yet. In fact, for the number of calories it has, chocolate is very inefficient at nutrition. So unfortunately, you can't live on chocolate alone.
Somebody who's of normal weight and gets all the other vitamins and minerals they need from a moderate diet, absolutely, chocolate's okay.
New justification to indulge with less guilt. Joe Avalar, News Channel 4.
If you're really trying to do something good for your body, nutritionists say beans, milk, or raisins have the same health benefits of chocolate without the calories, although somehow I just don't think a little bean raisin dessert would be quite the same.
I think Janice is just going to talk about sticky weather.
Sticky.
It's not quite the same.
That won't be the same.
The weather is not either.
Oh.
Well, you know, the past couple of months it's been a little on the cool side. I actually enjoyed it personally, but there's some people who've been hoping for 90-degree temperatures and feeling like summer, and we'll get to that this week. Outside right now, we have haze. It's still building up out there, and there will be a lot of spots to see some fog near the shore. Otherwise, above the haze, the skies are clear. The temperature is 74 degrees. Winds are calm right now. That will allow fog to develop. Relative humidity is high, and that will continue to go up at 84%, and the pressure is high. High pressure is over. It's 3022, and it's rising. High temperature today was 85 after a low of 70, and no precipitation recorded at Central Park. There were a few spots over eastern New Jersey that saw some isolated thunder showers this afternoon. Right now, the temperatures are in the 70s, a little cool on the eastern shores of Long Island, 76 right now in St. Albans. And we'll go to Doppler 4000 to show you that the showers have dissipated. As we scan about 75 miles around, there's nothing to talk about in terms of rain because the showers are now gone. But we did see some showers pop up today in a few spots. We'll go to NextRad 4 now and review what happened today. Isolated showers popped up here and there across the northeast, but they dissipated as the sun went down. The heating went away. Back to the east or to the west, we can see a line of scattered thunderstorms pushing across parts of the Great Lakes, and that's for the cold front that will actually bring us a better chance for rain by the end of the week. But until then, it's going to be hot, hazy, and humid. Tomorrow morning, we're going to feel it across the area as the high pressure just sits over us and the air continues to heat up, and that will last through the rest of the week. So get ready for summer. Tonight's low temperature 60s to low 70s. Fog with mostly clear skies elsewhere with light winds. Hazy and humid tomorrow morning with temperatures in the 70s, and during the afternoon, low to upper 80s in some spots, so it's really going to feel warm. Winds out of the southeast. Here's our boat and beach report. Winds southwest 10 to 15 knots. Hazy, humid. Waves 1 to 2 feet. Water temperature 69 to 74 degrees. And over the land, temperatures in the low to mid 80s. The land temperature, Sue. Water temperatures versus the land temperature. We missed that travel weather, but you probably saw your spot if you're traveling. Hazy weather, hazy, humid through the rest of the week. That's it for weather.
All right, Janice, thank you. And look who's back from Atlanta.
Yeah, it says Len ready for post-Olympic life.
That's it. Coming up, we've got lots of baseball. The Yankees and the Mets both hit the road tonight. The Mets in Chicago, the Yanks in Kansas City. So now Juwan Howard has a $100 million deal from somebody else, maybe. Plus the day after for some Olympic heroes. All next in sports as we gear up for an 11 o'clock sportscast, really at 11 o'clock tonight. Yes. How about that?
Yes. Here's Len, in case we all forgot during the Olympics, the Yanks still way out in first place.
They are, and the Olympics are over, right?
Yes,
they are done.
yes.
Finished. No more rhythmic gymnastics somewhere?
Maybe a little more of that.
Well, maybe not. Olympics aren't done, so it's baseball. The Yankees in Kansas City. Jimmy Key trailing 2-0 in the fourth. Mike Sweeney hits it deep to left. Gerald Williams goes back and maybe robs him of a homer. That's the dilemma. Do you play Williams or Strawberry out there? An important play because in the sixth, Mariano Duncan, the base hit off Chris Haney. Cecil Fielder chugs home. That tied at 2, still tied at 2 in the 7th. Joe Girardi and the catcher bunting, and nobody covers first. Wade Boggs scores the tie-breaking run, and the Yanks go on to win at 5-2. Key gets the win. Derek Jeter had 4 hits. The Mets visiting the Cubs tonight, and with the Olympics over, the big excitement in Chicago, 70s night. Man, that's great. The wind was blowing out in the first. Light-hitting Alvaro Espinoza opens the scoring. That's his first homer as a Met off Steve Traxel. Gave the Mets a 1-0 lead, but Paul Wilson had his problems giving up the long ball. Third inning, Mark Grace hit his 4th of the season. 3-1 Cubs. Sammy Sosa was the next batter, so make it 4-1. Back-to-back. Sosa now leads the National with 38. In the 7th, Todd Hundley hit his 34th in a losing cause. Cubs beating the Mets, final score of 7-3. Elsewhere in baseball in Oakland today, Mark McGwire facing Milwaukee's Cal Eldred, and there it goes. Number 39 as he drills it. He continues to chase Roger Maris's 61, has a chance, but the Brewers had 5 homers on the day, a slugfest in Oakland this afternoon. On the scoreboard, Baltimore outlasting Cleveland. Toronto took care of Boston. Milwaukee crushed Oakland despite McGuire's homer. Chicago over Texas. National League, Curt Schilling 4-hit the Pirates. The Cards move into a virtual first-place tie with Houston. Florida leads Colorado 12-8, and Cincinnati and the Giants are tied in the 5th. Juwan Howard has re-signed with the Washington Bullets, reportedly for $100 million. Howard had already signed with Miami for $100 million, but the league voided that, so Washington ponied up and got him back. It's safe to say they're thrilled.
I know over the years you guys have been around here, you haven't seen me smile much. And of course, I never smiled during the time I played. I never smiled, hadn't had much to smile about recently.
Well, arbitrators still have to decide the status of Howard's other $100 million deal. In any event, the NBA will penalize Washington a first-round pick, just your normal professional sports transaction. The Knicks will announce the signings of their 3 top draft picks tomorrow. The Bulls made it official, 1 more year of Dennis Rodman. Former net Rick Mahorn goes back to Detroit. Exhibition football tonight in Monterrey, Mexico, with Michael Irvin missing training camp. For the Cowboys, Troy Aikman has to find somebody else. How about Deion Sanders? Not bad, 63 yards, but the Cowboys couldn't score. It was 6-3 Chiefs second quarter when Rich Gannon found Todd McNair down the sideline. There he goes, and the Chiefs took a 13-3 lead, went on to beat Dallas 32-6. Giants quarterback Dave Brown will sit out Saturday's game against Baltimore. Dan Reeves says he wants to see what Tommy Maddox can do with the first team. Reeves says it's highly unlikely anyone other than Brown will be his #1 quarterback. Let me get that Boston-Toronto score right. The Red Sox beat Toronto 3-1. I had it backwards. And where were some of the Olympic heroes today? Well, Mia Hamm, one of the stars from the gold medal-winning women's soccer team, was at the All-Star Cafe tonight where she was basking in post-Olympic adulation because of the team's success. Hamm realizes that now she, of all things, has become a role model.
The way I look at it, I have a responsibility, I think, to my sport and to girls out there that want to compete in sports, that they can do anything that they set their mind to.
Meanwhile, other Olympians, including Dot Richardson and Antonio Carver, paid that ever-loving visit to Disney World. The people there came up with an innovative way to slow down Gwen Torrance and Michael Johnson. They stuck them in cement. That's a good way to do it. That's sports.
And you'll be back at 12:30 tonight with an Olympic wrap-up. No, but we'll have sports in a minute tomorrow at 5:30 a.m. There's something to look forward to. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. All right, still ahead. A 4-month journey? I don't think that's a word. A 4-month journey finally over.
And one brave adventurer has a bunch of beer cans to thank. We will explain.
And finally tonight, a boat that began life as beer cans makes history. Kenichi Hori, a Japanese boater, set sail back in the spring, and today, 4 months later, he arrived in Tokyo Bay in a solar-powered, recycled can vessel, fit as a fiddle. Making history is nothing new for Kenichi. 30 years ago, he crossed the Pacific in a homemade boat, and 5 years ago, he sailed around the world. Things not going too well for him at home, I guess.
I guess not. Well, we've gone from Olympic athletics to beer can sailing, but we're going home on time. Good night, everybody.
Good night.